Hello and welcome to my review of Mad Max, the 1979 original Mel Gibson one. But before I get into it, I would like to say a major spoiler alert. I will not try to spoil everything, but I will definitely get into some spoiler territory, so you have been warned. Also, if you would like to see more reviews of classic movies like this one, go ahead and subscribe. Let's try to get to one. And if you have anything to say about this movie, say it in the comment section down below, because I want this to be a discussion on this movie and future movies, rather than just me talking about them to nobody. Let's get into it. My initial thoughts on this movie are I really enjoyed it, but it did something that I didn't expect it to do, in that I was kind of sold this movie on it being a classic revenge movie with obviously Max Rakutansky in it, and it definitely is. I mean, that is the main part, but it's about an hour and a half, and he doesn't start his revenge tour until about an hour and 15 minutes into the movie, which for me is it was kind of crazy to have so much backstory with him and his family and his friend Goose, and pretty much the character of Max, that we get so much of him before he became Mad Max, and that really, it surprised me, but it brought me into the movie because I was invested in his character and in his character's relationships with his family and his friends, and I felt more for him when they died, when they were killed, and I think that this movie did that very well. Whereas other revenge movies, our main characters' loved ones or friends die within the first 20 minutes, half an hour, but this one took almost the whole movie like to set up this character before his loved ones get killed. And I think that's just, it was a very bold and original take on a revenge tale. Like I said before, this movie, as far as story, is pretty much straightforward, in that for an hour and 15 minutes we just get Max and his family, and pretty much the inciting incident in this movie is his friend Goose, who is also one of his cop friends. He gets burned alive by our main antagonist, Toe Cutter, and that kind of sets Max, it pushes him almost to the edge, because he says to his superior officer that he wants to quit after his friend dies, but his officer says, pretty much gives him like a couple week vacation and tells him, calm down, because we need you here. And this movie did that did something very well, in that it showed us, as well as told us, that Max Rakutansky is pretty much the best cop that this particular area has. It shows us this with more than one scene, and it tells us this with more than one scene of dialogue also. And that's pretty much, I mean, the story. And then after when he's taking his little vacation with his family, they unfortunately run into our main antagonist, Toe Cutter, and he proceeds to kill Max's wife and son. And that's about an hour and 15 minutes into the movie, and then that last 15 minutes is the revenge tour, which is done very well, but you can tell that this movie didn't have the budget exactly to do like a massive um a massive revenge tale, like, or do a massive like stunts and action like the later Mad Max movies. I mean, this movie only had a budget of about $350,000, so you can tell that George Miller, he did the best with what he had at the time, and it really paid off for him because obviously he did get the other installments in this franchise. One thing that this movie did that not a lot of other movies that want to start franchises do very well is that this movie was in itself a complete story, but at the same time, it was a very good origin story and setup for not only Max Rokitansky and his future, but also it set up this really unique world in that vehicles are kind of, everything to the criminals, and if you're gonna stop the criminals, you need a good vehicle too. And by the way, Max Rokitansky's V8 Interceptor looks beautiful. I mean, even for as old as it is, I would like to have that car today. But this movie did that very well in that it had a full story wrapped into one movie, but yet it left that door open for future installments. And not a lot of movies that want to become franchises like complete that story. They always kind of do the story and the bad guy gets away at the end so that they can have that second movie. Whereas this movie, Max kills the bad guy, but still we know that there are other people out in this world that do not that are not good people, so Max can go after those people, and this movie did a great setup for the future. For my verdict on this movie, this is kind of a two-parter verdict in that I want you to watch this movie because this movie is very, very well put together, and it's a great origin story for the Mad Max character that we see later on, but also go into this knowing that the world is, it may feel like your Mad Max Fury Road world, but it does not look like that road or that world, in that it doesn't have that same color palette. But you just have to go into it knowing that this was a low budget film and they probably could not do all the special effects and everything that they've done in the later ones. But definitely watch this movie, and also it is deliberately paced, so you might feel like in about half an hour into it you might feel like nothing has really happened, but stick with it. And I believe that you should Blu-ray this movie also, because you're definitely going to want all four of these Mad Max movies on your shelf. That's my review of Mad Max. If you have anything to say about this movie, or if you would like to recommend something for me to review in the future, go ahead and leave that comment down below. As I said before, I want this to be a discussion on these movies. And if you like this, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Thank you for watching this video.